This is a guitar tutorial on Flocons de Neige, or Snowflakes, which is a little guitar piece written by Frédéric Costantino. It's a graded piece by the Royal Conservatory of Music in Canada, or RCM for short. If you'd like to support the composer more directly, it was originally published in Cette Ballade Enchantée by Costantino. Now, prior to 2018, the piece was in the RCM Bridges series of books at the preparatory level. However, after the publication of the 2018 guitar syllabus, it was promoted to a level 1 piece. I agree with this because the piece is trickier than it looks on the surface. I find it's a little bit hypnotic to play, and I can be thrown off by the subtle transitions between the chords if I'm not completely immersed in what I'm doing at the time. So here's how I'm going to do the tutorial. First, I'm going to do a harmonic reduction of the piece for you. If you're at the beginning stages of learning how harmony works, this piece is a great introduction to the most basic fundamentals of harmony. After the harmonic analysis, I'll get into the actual guitar technique, starting with the right hand and then the left hand. If I happen to suggest something that conflicts with what your teacher is showing you, please go with your teacher. But I've made the effort to be consistent with the technique in the RCM books. So I hope you'll find this tutorial beneficial. We'll get started with harmonic analysis of Flocons de Neige, or Snowflakes. Okay, so here's the music to Flocons de Neige. The first thing I want you to look at is the key signature. Here we have a key signature of 2 sharps, an F sharp and a C sharp, which means that all of the Fs in the piece are going to be F sharp, and all of the Cs in the piece are going to be C sharp. So I'll go over that a little bit more after I do this brief run through of the actual piece. So the piece is actually has 3 different layers to it. So we have a thumb part, which plays all the bass notes or the low notes. We have an upper part, which is basically the harmony. And then we have a middle part, which is the melody. When you heard me play it at the beginning of the video, I was trying to bring out the melody a little bit more because it's the most important part in the song. And it's also in 6/8 time. And so with the dotted quarter note, pardon me, at 72. So 6/8 time is usually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. But I'm thinking of it more in a 2 feel, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and like that. So now I'll go to the chalkboard and we'll talk a little bit more about the key of D and how the chords are derived and how it applies to the song. Okay, so here's a mini theory lesson first on the key of D major. So I'm just going to do it in treble clef, and I'm going to write the scale out without using a key signature for now. Okay, so D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Now, the next thing we're going to do is, I'm going to show you rather, is where we get the chords from the key of D major that are used in Flocons de Neige. Remember the thumb notes. We have a D and we have an A. Now in the song, the A is down here. That doesn't matter. An A is an A. Okay, so just for theoretical purposes, this is fine. So to build a chord up from on a D, all we have to do is build up the chord in thirds. So what is a third? A third is 1, 2, 3. 3 notes away. 1, 2, 3. And you include your starting point when you're counting. Okay, so if we go up here, we get an F sharp, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, we get an A. And you'll notice that the chords are actually stacked up either all in spaces or all on the lines. Okay, so that's one easy way that you can think about building a chord. Since this is the first note of the scale, I'm going to label this Roman numeral 1. And since this is the fifth note of the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to label this Roman numeral 5. So, just like I did on the D major chord, I'm going to build up a chord on A. But for this one, I'm going to build it into a 4-note chord. And the reason for that is that on a 5 chord, we need to have this 7th chord, and I'll explain that a little bit later. So there are fancy names for this. This is called the tonic, and this is called the dominant. And traditionally in Western music, the dominant wants to pull to the tonic because the dominant is a tense chord, relatively tense to a tonic note. So, and it's this 7th chord that helps to make it tense. Okay, so that's the little pre-lesson before we get into the actual harmonic reduction. Now, if you remember from the first 3 bars of Flocons de Neige, the thumb is playing a D. So I'm not doing any of the rhythm, I'm just stripping everything down to its raw components. And then bar 4, the thumb goes down to an A. Bar 8, we go back to a D again. Forgot to do my key signature. And then bars 12, we go back to the A. And then at the very last, we end on a D. Okay, so we have tonic going to dominant, tonic going to dominant, back to the tonic, and that's our home. Okay, so that's happening in the thumb. So I'm going to put P down here for a pulgar. That's the terminology or the symbol for thumb in classical guitar technique. Now, I'm going to talk about the top voice now. So in the top voice, we have an F sharp. And then when the thumb goes to the A, the top voice goes to the G. And this is the tension here. And then it goes back to the F sharp, then to the G, and then the F sharp again. And that's where we end. And that's our hold there. Now, the middle note is the melody. So let's see, I'm going to just sketch the melody in here. And now this is I'm going to put a marker here so to make it clear. So this is basically the shape of the melody going through, and you want to bring out the melody a little bit stronger because that's the interesting part that is going on in the piece. Now, I just want to talk about these chords. So the D chord, we have D and F sharp. We have a root and a third. The third is the most prominent note in the chord because it determines whether it's major or minor. It's a very important note. The fifth is less important. When we have the A's, the G is prominent. And now there's no third in this chord, we have a third and a seventh, but what's important is that the seventh wants to pull down to the third when it goes back to the root. And so that's the tension, and then we have this nice release down a semitone, and that's the essence of the piece. Now we'll get to the actual guitar technique. So we'll start with the right hand, and here's a little exercise that you can do with the right hand only. just to get used to the flow of the strings. So the middle finger is and the index finger are used to play the melody in the piece, where the drones, the bass drone is used by the thumb, and the harmony note, the F sharp and the G on the first string, are played with the index finger. Okay, so we can do an exercise like this, going M, P, A, M, P, A. And then you can try I, P, A, I, P, A. And then you can alternate the thumb to the A string, M, P, A, M, P, A, M, P, A. And then I, P, A, I, P, A. And then you can try improvising between the two, going just to get a flow of it and to gain control. I'm not doing anything rigid. So that's just playing around. So once you get the flow of it, you might want to start trying to get the I and the M fingers to play a little bit louder, and also think of the 6/8 time, playing beat 1 a little bit louder than beat 4. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what I'm trying to do is just get a little bit of musicality started with that piece to really feel the 6/8 time, and define it from 3/4 time, which would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. In 6/8 time, the beat 4 would have a little bit less emphasis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now we'll go on to the left hand. So with the left hand, finger 2 is planted on the F sharp over the D chord, and then when the A chord happens, then finger 4 is planted on the G. So it goes back and forth like that. And meanwhile, fingers 1 and 2 are playing the melody. So what you can do to prepare for that is practice the right hand exercises that I gave you above, going MPA, and just practice making that transition, because the transition is the hardest part of the piece to me. So I'm not going to worry about the melody notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So that little exercise may prepare you for the actual song, and will help you. Even if you're working on the song, it's always good to step away from it and look at it in a different way. It gives you a little extra insight into the tune. So when you play the melody notes over the D chord, it's going to be mostly the third finger and the first finger, because the second finger is busy being planted here. And when you go to the A chord, then these three fingers will be playing the melody. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial on Flocons de Neige, And good luck with the piece, and I hope you do well on the exam if you're taking an exam. Really encourage you to take exams because it's one way to get you really focused and to get some valuable feedback from the examiner. So if you do like this video, please like it, and I'd appreciate the subscription too. If you have any comments or questions, I'd be happy to read them, and if I can, answer a question or two. So good luck and have a great night.